Hey my loves, welcome back to our channel. We are here with another one, and we are talking all things Married at First Sight. We are back with our beautiful beau, Joe, and let's get into talking about sex, okay? This episode is episode 11.
Yeah.
Right?
I think so.
And they are talking about sex. And let me tell you something, this is one of my favorite topics, respectfully. And I was really excited to see the title and see that it's more about talking about intimacy.
Yes.
Right? And less that physical product of the intimacy, but growing their actual moments and the closeness that they have with one another.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's been, we start off, I don't know where we start, we're just going to jump right on in, okay? And I want to talk about Woody and Imani. And we're going to start off on a high note because I feel like they always take us there. I feel like it's so dope.
Woody and Imani are a permanent high note.
That was a good way to put that.
You know, they just feel good when you see them. It's funny because my sister who was on here a while ago was talking about how before we watched it, she said she was going on this emotional roller coaster watching the episode because she said she would watch Woody and Imani and get all of the good vibes and the love and the euphoria that's going on with them, and then she would watch, you know, Brett and Olivia or Miles and Karen and have all of the Angela that comes with that. Yeah, so you know, but Woody and Imani, they've been good vibes, you know, even when they have their, you know, hard conversations and the tough, you know, things that they got to deal with. It never feels, you know, like a downer. It never feels like, oh, it just feels like, you know, couples going through couple stuff, you know? And
I think one of the things that I like most about Woody and Imani is because is that they are a regular couple.
Yeah.
They feel
regular.
They feel like they known each other. They fell in love. Yeah. And now they married and they newlyweds. They genuinely feel like
regular.
Newlyweds.
Like I was saying, you know, we was talking about, you know, our favorite couples, right? Who's in the lead. You know, I've been saying for weeks, Woody and Imani's in the catbird seat. It's proven to be true.
I don't know what
but also, it's the front of the line, okay? So I'm saying that they are there, right? You know, first of all, I got the catbird seat from Uncle Shannon, so shout out.
Hey, Uncle Shannon.
Of course he's watching. Shannon Sharp, shout out Shannon Sharp. But I'm saying that, you know, and she, you know, she was saying, well, I think, you know, she likes, what is it, Amelia and Bennett, and I like them too. But I said that Amelia and Bennett they seem like they're leaps and bounds ahead of all of the other couples that are married at first sight.
Yeah.
I said,
that's
Woody,
true.
I said Woody and Imani feel like
they are a couple.
They are a couple, and they were not married at first sight.
Right.
Like
they do
are on the show. They just happen to be filming while living their life, and they're just a newlywed couple. Like, they feel like they got time in. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I put them in the catbird seat, because they just got a different feel to me. You know what I mean?
And they really, really do. And I really do appreciate how openly... You're right. I really do appreciate how openly they talk about their sensuality, their sexuality, and their intimacy. I like it that they feel so comfortable speaking openly with one another about their sexuality. And I think that's normal. I think it's so normal to have conversation about where you were sexually 6 months ago with your spouse to where you are sexually a year from now with your spouse. I think that growth, that kind of conversation is so mature. And I think it's so very important. Yes. And it's nice to see them it could be awkward and it could be weird.
That's what happens. But that's the real part about them. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the part that you can connect with, especially as a couple. You know, watching them. You know, like, we go through counseling, and you know, you have not weird, but you have tough conversations when you're in counseling. You have tough conversations. Things that you got to tackle, things that you got to deal with, and they tell you, like, these are the conversations you have. You're preparing to spend the rest of your life with this person. These are things that you got to tackle, right? But it doesn't feel like, you know, oh, this is the end of the world because we got to figure out, you know, who's going to cook in most of the nights or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, and with Woody and Imani, it feels like we just watching somebody just going through their normal,
regular day
to day.
That is so real. That is so real. That's like having like a window in our like relationship.
Yeah.
Super
they just
chill,
living life, you know.
Yes, just living and being with one another, and that's why I really do. I just cape for them so hard, and I'm just hoping that we creeping up on COVID. I don't know if y'all can tell the way that they shooting things and how the experts are only going to certain people.
Yeah, if you notice, the experts went to everybody's house, but Bennett and Amelia's house. They
didn't go to Bennett and Amelia, and they didn't go to Woody and Imani.
Oh, they didn't go to Woody and Imani?
No.
Oh, okay.
And they didn't go to...
Bennett had the COVID because he was sick, so I just knew. I just knew that they wasn't going to Bennett and Amelia's house because they saw Bennett had the COVID. He was coughing, and even his friends didn't hug him. They did the COVID hug.
Yeah, like,
and
what kind of travel?
Yeah. And so I was thinking, like, oh, they're coming up on COVID, especially when Imani said when they were in the kitchen, when she was cooking with Woody, she said, oh, yeah, we can't find no hand sanitizer. Like, it's getting crazy out here. Which, that was the beginning of the COVID for everybody. Like,
for everybody.
For us, for sure. We went to the store, and it wasn't hand sanitizer, toilet paper,
and we were
paper towels.
This is such a off, but we were in Vegas when this whole situation started. And we were, like, on our way home, and we just went into the store in Vegas just to get, like, I forget, we were getting, like, napkins or something like that.
We were just getting something basic. That wasn't there. Because nothing basic was there.
I could not understand what the hell was going on. So I don't know what you guys experienced the first few days. Bust down, let us know. I'm just curious about where you were, what you were doing when you were like, this is a thing.
But also,
you know what I mean?
But
like,
also this is this is gonna be one of the best stretches of this, I think, of this show's existence, because nothing is realer than a couple in quarantine, bro. We've been hearing stories. Let's just say that. Stories.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Make them and break them time. Some horror stories, some good stories, but when you in the, I mean, they made a whole show based around it. What was it called? The one on, was it Netflix or Hulu, called Love in the Quarantine. Love in the Quarantine. Yeah. Like, it was a thing when you doing solitary confinement with somebody.
Yeah, it shows whether or not you really like them.
Yeah, do you like them? You gonna find out today. For these next 6 months or whatever it was like you're gonna find it out. Yeah. And they're in quarantine with somebody who they don't even really know.
They don't even know. And it's like, that's what's really getting exciting to watch. So I love the questions that they were asking each other in the park and talking about, like, what's your favorite position? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. And even how close they felt enough to kiss each other. Like, throughout, you saw them kiss each other like 50 times. And I don't feel like, I know a lot of us.
And it wasn't forced.
Yes.
It was just like.
Yes. And I know a lot of us worry about it being too soon. Is it too soon to be that intimate? Is it too soon to be? And I don't think so. I think if you got the kind of chemistry and you want to bust down, you want to kiss a mug in the mouth.
And the vibe
sometimes that's what you got to do.
The vibe is there. And
it's just there.
And that's the thing, like, you just, and that's the real life part of them, right? Like, you know that, like, if you just click with somebody and the vibe is there. One of our good friends, Jimmy and Deja, when they met, they literally was together almost every day after they met, right? And for everybody else, it's like, that's too soon. It's weird. You know what I'm saying? Right? Yeah. Right? But they're married, happily married now, have been for a year or two or 3 now. And it's just, that was his person. They met. And what appeared weird to the rest of us, like, y'all just spending, y'all doing the most. Y'all spending every day together, all day together. And it was like, that was his person. And it doesn't. One of her friends asked her, like, you spend a lot of time with Joe. And she like, it seems like a lot of time to you, but I'm just living my life. And I'm doing what makes me happy, and us spending time together made her, you know what I'm saying? So it's just, my point is that when it's natural and it's true to your inner man, your star player is being true, then it's not gonna be, you're just gonna be living life and not even realize, like, oh yeah, we spend every day together.
Like, and I think that's why I'm so excited to get into the quarantine. I know we're like off on the side, but I'm super excited to get into the quarantine because I do feel like this moment has made or broken a lot or brought out a lot of nastiness.
Oh yeah,
in a lot of relationships. So I hope all y'all relationships is good out
testing
there.
People.
I hope that y'all made it on through. Y'all figured out all the cute little sourdough breads, cupcakes you can make. We've been making carrot cakes, everything up in here, okay? And it's like I hope everybody figured out a way to get around it because it interrupted our lives. He's a musician. Joe travels all the time. I'm typically by myself every other month. You know what I mean? Just about. So it's like, or 2 months at a time. And this was a big deal for us. Like, you know what I mean? So this is a lot of time we got to spend with each other. So if you my girlfriend, no bitch, I'm not coming out. My man is home. Okay? He might not be home in a month, but he home today. So I got to hang out with him as much as I can. So I'm saying that to say that it was nice to see how they are getting ingratiated with one another. And it feels warm and it feels sexy and it feels like chemistry, but sexy not in a nasty way,
not in a raunchy way, but
sexy
like
in a foreplay way,
in like, a loving way.
Let's kiss on each other and in a loving way, in a loving way, and I like that. So let's talk about, you want to get into Karen and Miles?
Yeah, I'm always ready for Karen. Let's be clear, I'm ready to call a spade, and that's just what it is. I don't got nothing against Karen, nobody of Karen's ilk. But I like to call it,
because a lot of y'all cut from that cloth.
I mean, let's just call it what it is. Like,
so Karen and Miles sit down with Dr. Viviana. Okay, Dr. Viviana is the love and sex therapist for the in a group of experts. Okay, and they were speaking about intimacy and just simply kissing your man in the mouth. Okay, something just as simple as that. Why is this such a hard thing for you? And speaking about sex as a grown woman. And Karen felt uncomfortable talking about sex. And I personally, what I'm tired of is people giving Karen the avenue not to show up.
Yeah, we got it. Yo, this is week 11, right?
It's week 11. And season 11.
We started
week 11 and season 11. I mean, episode 11 is season
we started saying we got to give Karen grace and time in week 1. And then week 2, he said it again.
Yeah, we did.
And then week 3, I saw it in the comments.
Yeah.
And then week 4, it was in the comments some more.
Yeah.
And then week 5, it was on Facebook in the comments.
Yeah.
And then, bro, when is the time for her to show up and actually put forth the effort to be a part of this process and give into just, be uncomfortable. And actually,
uncomfortable.
Like this, at what point are you going to do that? Because you got this whole man that's waiting for you for 11 weeks. Like, hey, when is this going to happen? When are we going to, move on to the next phase? Which he tried to do with the last episode or whatever episode that was, and when he was trying to. And you called him a raper. You called him a predator. And so now, of course, he's not going to advocate for himself when he's sitting in front of Dr. What's the name? Viviana. Yeah. Because he got to walk on hot eggshells at this point, because the last time this happened, you felt unsafe in your home, you clutching your pearls, and so it's like he's in a rock and a hard place.
We had somebody, I love when the guys comment. We had a guy comment, and I cannot remember your name, so please forgive me. Please comment this week. But he called him straight up. He said Miles is a simp. Now, I don't know what a simp is, and I'm going to Google it. But
it ain't good, though.
It sounded about right, okay?
It ain't good,
and
whatever it is.
You know what I mean? And I want to say, just speaking to that, not being able to advocate for yourself is basically what he was speaking to. You know what I mean? You allow her to come through and do whatever the hell she want to do, and you got feelings about stuff too. And we speak about this all the time. It's not happy wife, happy life. It's happy spouse, happy house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I already know he worshiped the ground I walk on, so I know he's gonna do whatever he gotta do to make sure I'm good anyway. But his feelings matter too. You know what I mean? What he needs matters.
You have to advocate for yourself.
And you have to, and it's okay.
You're hurting your relationship when you just check out and are resigned to, whatever they want.
Right.
You're hurting your relationship because you're human, and all you're going to do is build up resentment at some point, or you're going to wake up and realize you never felt whole in this situation, and you just kind of numbly walk through the whole thing.
Okay, so you just saying that, right, kind of made me think about, it kind of made me feel like giving Karen some grace, because there's something to feeling like you're with somebody. And me and him just had this conversation. We had a couples dinner, and we all were talking about Joe is very good about like, oh, whatever you want to do. But I hear, after I project manage all day long. What I hear is, do more work. Make more decisions. Like, you know what I mean? When I'm like, no, I need you to have had taken out some salmon. Because I'm a cook it, but I need you to take it out. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to
this is on a small scale.
This is on a small scale.
When we was talking about this and I said whatever you want to do, it was the what are you want to eat comment.
It was
we've all
to that.
Been there.
Yes.
But yeah, it was just, and because side note, because I am a highly opinionated individual, I know that about myself, and I try to be aware and pull it back in instances where it's not going to kill me to go along to get along. So that's how that conversation started, and I just had to give y'all some backstory just so you know. Like I ain't to go along get along. Like I don't just be like whatever, you know. You know what I'm saying? Like I advocate for myself. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. But what I'm saying is, what I'm getting at is that reminded me of how I felt, where I was like, listen, like I appreciate when you do make decisions, you make really sound decisions, but sometimes I need you to do it when it counts for me, as opposed to when it counts for you. And I think that Karen is going through this thing sometimes where it's like, I need you to show up despite if it might upset me, because then that can help me push us forward.
Two things can be true. No, two things can be true. I think there's always a yin and a yang to these type of situations, and I think that is a true statement. One thing that we've never said, no matter how much you might have thought we dogged out Karen or got on her or rode her case, we've never absolved Miles from the responsibility of advocating for himself. Yes. I haven't on this thing, and I don't think she has.
Yes.
I've always felt like, Miles, you need to speak up. When she said to you, how do you feel about us taking sex off the table? And you just sat there like, okay. That wasn't true. That wasn't how you truly felt. And we know we waiting on the time when you in front of Woody and you telling your truth like you did a couple episodes ago.
We waiting for it. And to that young man's point who dropped down in our comments, whom I'm so sorry, and I promise I'm going to shout you out next time. But to your point, that's what you were speaking to. You do have issue with some of the shit that's being said. You just don't say that, and that make you corny, low key. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you got to show up too, and you're a man.
You need to.
You know what I mean? But to Dr. Viviana's point, what I think Dr. Viviana is a good doctor, because good therapists don't let you know whose side they on. They be picking sides, but they don't be wanting you to know that they've chosen a side. And I felt like the way that she posed the solution to take sex off the table was to help Miles in the intimacy category. Was to say that you don't have to.
But I didn't like it.
And Miles didn't like it at
thought,
first.
what the hell was that to say to a couple? Just don't have sex then.
But you know what? That was the issue, because that was Miles' opportunity to say, I don't understand how that's going to fix our problem.
It was.
Because I heard it, and I heard.
But she asked Miles, are you okay with that?
But that's my point. That was his opportunity
to say, no, I'm not. Let's talk about it.
Exactly. And my thing is, like, that's what you all are saying is the issue. You don't even say, you could see it on the child's face that he had an issue.
He was
with.
like,
my man was up in arms. And I'm like, but I understood what she was trying to. At first, I didn't like it.
I got it in a vacuum. Like, yeah, I see. She was trying to call her on the carpet.
She was trying to call her on the carpet.
Yeah.
And if you all didn't get that, she's basically trying to tell Karen, you do not now have the excuse that you're afraid that he'll want to have sex. He does not want to have sex anymore. Why aren't you intimate with your husband?
Yeah.
Because a lot of y'all got to stop thinking that sex is intimacy in your life. Sex is sex.
Right.
Intimacy could just be watching TV.
Mm-hmm.
Intimacy could be him sitting on your feet. You know what I mean? While y'all like, or rubbing your feet, or like rubbing your back, or taking out the motherfucking fish so you can cook. Like, you know what I mean? Like, intimacy can show up any ways for you. It's your language that you're speaking. You know what I mean? And I think that what she's trying to get her to do is to come out of her. I don't even want to say come out of her shell. Our sister Jazz made a very good. We were talking about what kind of people Karen may have dated before, and was she this kind of person in her previous relationship? And what I feel like, if you're a certain kind of human being, it's hard to be your representative all the time, right? And if you're a certain kind of human being, who you really are shows up in small moments. Look at Christina. That bitch is crazy. You know what I mean?
And she almost got us when she was taking her medicine in the last episode. She almost had us because she was a different person. She was so sweet and loving and understanding and conversational and patient. And then, hello, back to the old Christina. For her to sit there and hear the man say, I had some childhood trauma, I was a big kid, whatever. For her, you listen to somebody pour their hardships out.
Henry says to her, they ask a question, they're doing an intimacy, like an intimacy, the cards thing or whatever, a little bit of a game, right, with one another. And she blindfolds him and asks him, like, about his confidence or something. I can't remember that.
It was like a hardship or something like that you did.
And he said in his truth
that he was a big kid when he was younger, and something about how he got teased about it and everything like that, and he just, it affects him, and
he don't feel like he's not that big kid. He still feel like a fat kid.
Right. So this is a deep thing. He's telling you that this is a deep thing, and most people's trauma is deep rooted, right? So this is a deep thing. She sat there and let him talk, and the whole time she thought, you should just get over this.
That's the exact word she used.
That's the word she used. You should just get over this. Like, and it was almost like, he offended her. Like, she was just like, I was put off by that. Like, I can't believe that he said that. Like, it's something else I got to deal with. And it's like, damn, like, bro, you are a terrible person.
You are literally taking Klonopin and acting like it's Adderall. And you got to stop. Okay, sis, stop. We already know you a manic depressive or whatever the case may be. Look at you. Look at you out in the streets acting a fool being that. This man literally, he don't even speak to you. Right. Okay? Let's be for real. What this made very clear to me is that Henry is the realest motherfucker on here. Excuse my language.
He is, low key.
He the realest mug on here. Because what he's showing y'all, and this is the type of I am. You ever in my space and I don't like you, you'll know. And if I love you, you'll know. Because I need you to know where I'm at. I like to draw hard lines. And that's what he was doing with her when he wasn't showing up. No, I don't want to kiss this bitch in the mouth. I don't like her. I don't like her.
Yeah, I don't
She's
like
a bad human being.
I don't like the person I don't like the person that she is. Like she's constantly saying, I want you to show up for me and be more confident. And he tried to tell Pascal in that conversation, like, well, I'm turned off by her bitchiness. Like, that's ultimately what he was trying to say. He was just like, her being that type of person is a turn off for me. So it is a deterrent. It is a block for him to actually evolve into this confident person that even a person that we see him with when he's with his friends or he is out talking to the rest of the couples, he's a different person, right? But that's because he's getting a different he's in a different environment. Yes. His personality is welcomed very differently. He's treated very differently. And so he comes out of his shell. He's cracking. He talking to Benny. He cracking jokes. It's a whole nother person right here. You know what I'm saying?
I just feel like Henry knew something we didn't know. And we're all watching Henry thinking Henry is so boring. And I would say, you guys, we're all wrong. Henry's not boring. Henry has the spirit of discernment.
He does.
Henry know when he is in the presence of a demon. And that's literally what it is. No, dead ass. Like, you know what I mean? And he was like, I'm not going to engage. I will not negotiate with terrorists.
No, that's
I won't do it.
That's how he feels.
You know what I mean? And I think that's what Christina is. So, okay, two things. I would argue. I want to know what Christina's background is. Because
we don't know, because we can't go to her house because she don't got a house. We don't know who her peoples is. Her family wasn't showing up. Christina is a CIA agent. Like, we don't know anything about her, yet nobody is saying anything about it. Like, nobody is probing, asking, like, Henry really should just be like, let's talk about what's really going on with you.
Right. And I really do think that, one, and y'all gonna beat my butt for this, if you ever grew up in a foreign household with foreign parents, uncles, aunties, cousins, whatever, there is a certain air of get over it. Your emotions don't matter here.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's
like,
the old school way. You know, they didn't talk about. They didn't talk about.
That's the old school anything way, right? And that's why I'm thinking, like, maybe it's a culture. Like, I'm trying to give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it's a cultural thing. That's why that was her only response, because she's never been met with an emotional with emotional intelligence, so she doesn't know how to be that way, even though she think that the craziest thing about her is that she genuinely thought she was saying the right thing.
She did.
And that's what was scary. Like, sis,
she had no doubt that, like, she was 100% correct in the language that she was using after he expressed his something. She 100% felt like this is she felt like,
yes,
if she checked her mentions, they would be like, girl, you right. I can't believe him. We tied it. Like, she
what
just
you don't
knew.
know, what you don't know is Henry out here low-key a prophet.
Oh, yeah.
Because he read you for filth. And all of us sitting up here like, Henry born, he don't need to talk to her. He don't do this. He ain't even trying. Henry was trying to like her.
He was.
He was trying to see past the fact that she's just not genuinely a good human being. And I'm taking a leap without knowing her to say that she's not a good human being, just simply based on the fact that he reacts with her. Just simply that, the way that she's spoken to people around her, and the way that he has spoken to her, and the way he's spoken to Amani and Bennett. 2 different ways. And I love the conversation. I love seeing him and Bennett get together, and the conversation that they had, and how, like, confidence shows up in many different ways.
Yeah.
Because I would argue that Henry is confident.
Yeah.
After watching this, I'm like, he's very confident.
Yeah.
He's just seeing it in a way that his dad might. He's looking at it like how his dad is confident and say any old thing out his goddamn mouth, and not the way that he shows up.
It's the same conversation that we had about masculinity. Like, there is not one view of masculinity, right? And Bennett made a good point when he said confidence doesn't just look one way. I'm confident in just being as comfortable and as quirky as weird as he is. He is very confident in who he is.
He has to be. He wears a nightgown.
He wears a nightgown. He like, this
that's
is what,
energy.
What's up? You
right.
know what I'm saying? Like,
that's energy.
That's confidence to me. You know what I'm
yes.
saying? And so I think Bennett was trying to tell him, like, you don't got to be rah, super alpha male to be confident. He's trying to tell him, like, you are confident. You're comfortable in who you are. You're very self-aware.
Yes.
Which is another attribute of confidence, right? Yes. You're very self-aware, and you are very sound in the person that you know who you are. You're very sound in that. And that's confidence. It's just a different form of confidence. It might look different. And I think that it was really nice to see him, you know, express these things to Bennett and kind of ease his... Because I know you could tell he felt a way about the whole situation. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and that was hard.
That was messed up. That was hard to watch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was. It was really hard to watch. But talking about Bennett, let's talk about Bennett and Amelia, who I'm just obsessed with. And they just, you could tell they are really, he said that he's really into her.
Yeah.
And he could really feel himself moving into that next phase with her.
Yeah.
As they get closer throughout these days and everything, especially after she took good care of him and everything like that. So they had this moment. I don't know if you guys saw it. I want to talk about the moment first, then we'll get back to him and Henry. But where they were just like hugging. And just
so
like,
it was the tantric John where they had to do the card game or whatever, where they had to be head to head, nose to nose, and ask each other these questions. And it's a vibe. Yeah. It was a vibe. It was a vibe.
And it felt deep.
It did.
It felt deep. Like, yes, like, I could be this close to you, and we ain't got to be. And maybe they did a little something next to, you know.
But that's
you know what I mean? But it didn't feel like it was even going there.
It's supposed to be this, like, super
moment.
yoga, like, spiritual John. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like,
and
that's
being
why I be
that
telling
close.
you, I'm trying to, do the tantric.
You're nasty!
Yeah, I'm trying to do it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's such a thing about, but that is intimacy. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes people hear intimacy and they think, oh, sex.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, no, like, that is intimacy. Like, being comfortable enough to even be nose to nose with somebody and to be able to just speak.
What you want, what you need.
Oh, yeah. You got to be vulnerable in that moment. You know what I'm saying? So it's a vibe.
It was a vibe, but
we should do
you
that.
You so nasty.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they did it on camera. Like,
see. Oh, okay, we'll see. But I want to speak to, you know, she's going to be getting into her residency. She introduced Bennett to her auntie, and they were speaking about, like, where she's going. She could be going anywhere. You know what I mean? And I think that's super nervous, and Joe might disagree with me, but he sits down and he talks to Henry about it. And Henry just was like, listen, cross that path when you get there.
Yeah.
Like, don't even worry about it. Be in the moment. Be just present where you are. And I thought that was, like, really good advice. Like, because y'all are just getting to know each other. That's a big decision to make for somebody you just met and just married.
Yeah.
However, I think he gonna follow that child to the end of the earth. And I think that that's okay. And I think that, like, y'all only get one of these lives. Live it in love, but live it for you.
But not only that, but I think people take for granted, like, everybody doesn't necessarily meet that person, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot of married people out here. You know what I'm saying? People married for a lot of different reasons. Everybody doesn't marry the person that they feel that type of connection to, right? Like, I feel like we sit and we talk about, like, the vibe that's between Bennett and Amelia seems like, seems genuine, seems organic, even though they were married at first sight, even though it was an arranged marriage. It seems like they were like destined to meet, you know what I'm saying? And everybody doesn't have that. So in talking about Bennett having to make this big life decision, I think that's something that he's going to take into account, because you can't take for granted having that vibe with somebody. I tell her all the time, like, we met in high school, and I know for sure.
Age me.
I know for sure.
Before you even say anything, do not age me.
I'm saying that I know for sure that it was a period in life where I took for granted the chemistry and the vibe that we had. I took it for granted because it was like a kid who comes in, who just born into a lot of money. You don't have the same value until you get out into the world. You got to work for it, and then you're like, oh, money don't come easy. It just did in my life. You know what I'm saying? And so I think we kind of had the same situation where we found love very young. And I think I went into the world and was like, I could find it again. And it's not like you might get married again. If we didn't get back together, I might have been married again, right? But it definitely wasn't going to be what I found here. And I think that's something that people don't realize. Like, you don't always find it, and when you find it, you have to hold on to it, and you have to fight for it, because you might find somebody who's good enough to marry again. You might find somebody who's good enough to be with, but that person just don't come along like that. And so I think Bennett is gonna eventually be like, you know what, I'm gonna pack my shit.
He don't got no other choice,
and I'm going, because she's not gonna come along like that.
He's not gonna meet a woman in 2020 that's gonna say, stay home, take care of the kids, write your stories, do whatever the fuck you want to do, and I'm gonna go hit this block and make sure we get the check.
But not only that, just loves his quirky.
And then she loves
like the quirky stuff. That's what I'm saying. Like,
and then she treat him with respect. And you can tell she don't even talk. She always listens to him and hears him out. She looks at him so intently and deeply. Let me tell you something. He be a fool. Yeah. He be a plum fool. And I don't think.
But I also, on the flip side, I also wouldn't be surprised if people are like, I'm not going anywhere. Like, you know what I mean? Because he built a life for himself. Yeah. He got a little tiny house. He got a little tiny community.
He Jesus Christ.
I wouldn't be, and the reality is he doesn't know her yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're getting to know each other. They're getting to grow in love. So it's like, you can't really miss something that you never really had. And I just feel like, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm pulling for him to go with her. This is assuming that she has to go somewhere. But I'm pulling for them to go together. But I also wouldn't be surprised, or I wouldn't, if he felt like, yo, like, that's a lot. And you know what I'm saying? Like,
but I think you're absolutely right in your assessment. But I do think that he has a spirit of
a nomad.
Oh, baby, I was thinking vagabond, so very good. Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, he has a spirit of a traveler. And just this person who just needs to see. And I think that just as much as he set up this community here, and it would be so hard to leave, I think he sees the value in the community that he could grow with his wife. And I think that to me is why they so good. But I want to get into, they're amazing. They never not going to be amazing. Let's talk about Brett and Olivia.
Oh, God.
Okay, so I said in the beginning of this that I liked Olivia, right? I think I'm changing my mind. And I don't know if I'm changing my mind. I want to be, so I have this Olivia and Brett, I just need to get to it. Olivia and Brett, Dr. Viviana visits them. Okay? Yeah. And Dr. Viviana asked them about intimacy as well. And Brett was clear that he did want to be intimate with his wife. But he feels like sometimes she a little bit Heisman with it. A little standoffish. So Dr. Viviana was like, look at how you guys are sitting. Like, if he puts his arm around you, would that bother you? So he puts his arm around her and touches her thigh, and she moves his hand.
Yeah, she wasn't with it.
So she does not like Brett. Okay? That's very clear.
It's very clear. But you know what I think is very similar?
What?
Olivia and Henry. Like,
no, Christina and Henry.
I'm sorry. Yeah. No, Olivia and Henry. I meant what I said.
Oh, yes. You meant those two people. Sorry.
I think Olivia and Henry are very similar in the sense that, like, if they were with other people, they'd be down. Like, yes, let's do it. Yes. Henry be telling jokes and you know, he'd be the life of the party. You know what I'm saying? Yes, and I think Olivia would be super down to be intimate. And Olivia does not like Bennett. She don't like his personality. She doesn't like Bennett the person.
Yeah.
And Bennett the person is proving himself pretty hard to like.
But you know what though? So is Olivia. Every time I watch her, and my thing is this: I'm not saying that. I think, and y'all gonna take issue with what I'm about to say, but I'm ready. I think when you are a woman with a man, you gotta be a certain amount of soft.
I think she's soft with him.
I don't.
Especially the way he pounds her over the head with his sarcasm and his Flintstone misogynistic ways.
No.
Oh, you don't know that?
No. I'm going to tell you why. Olivia has a way of speaking to him that I feel is like demeaning. Me and him have this.
You don't demean her?
Wait a minute. Hear me out. What I'm saying is, I think that you and I have this conversation all the time. I like to speak in a very matter-of-factly tone. I speak that way at work. And that's just so people know that I mean yes or I mean no. And I'm like a no period kind of person. Do you want to do this? No. Right? She's that kind of girl, right? But I think that when she's speaking to him, it's easy for him to take it as like, oh, you trying to be smart, so now I'm going to meet you where you at.
No.
I think
we're absolving Henry of this. I mean, not Henry. Brett of his
I'm not trying to absolve him. I'm trying to give her some. She got to take some.
She does too. But what I'm saying is, Brett doesn't need anything to display a high level of assholeness.
That's true.
She don't got to do anything for him to be super sarcastic, super immature. Yeah. Oh, and I think when Olivia is speaking to him, most of the time, she's trying to hold her mule. Like, she's like, he's trying me.
The problem
she always has this air of like,
I think you're absolutely right.
Always.
You're absolutely
even
right.
when they try and, you know, they was trying to have the conversation about something that adults were supposed to talk about.
And I thought she came at that right.
And he's constantly sidestepping, making jokes about it, and she's like, okay. It's like a school teacher. It's like a school teacher dealing with an unruly child. That's what I see when I see her talking to him.
Let's tell the story. But right, that's what you see when you see. That's a problem though, because that's her.
That's how he acts.
But that, I'm not saying that you're wrong, but I'm saying that she's still a man. Despite the way you may act in certain situations, if I spoke to you in the way that in my mind that I felt you were acting, you would have an issue with that.
No,
because Joe.
No. Joe, If you're trying to have it,
I'm
not. If you're trying to, I'm not. If you're trying to, I'm not. If you're trying
Don't
to
make me pull out receipts.
If you're trying to pull whatever you need to pull. If you're trying to have a serious conversation with me, and all I'm doing is making jokes and sidestepping it, I don't have a ground to stand on. If you talking to me, like an adult who's trying to have a, that's not what I said. But I'm saying that's what Olivia.
What I said was
we can't act like Brett is not the most immature man on the show.
Wait a minute. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that I do think that he is the most immature man. I also think that there is a way to get through to men like that.
But what else is she supposed? She's doing it literally with the most grace ever.
No. What I said was,
because you would have cussed him out. So let's talk about that. Bennett would have been all time.
Anybody out.
You would have laid Brett out. Brett wouldn't have had a
I don't curse people.
Okay.
I don't curse
Brett wouldn't. Let me tell you something. The grace that Olivia.
No. I think that Olivia is giving grace. I don't want to get that mistaken. I really do believe Olivia is giving him grace, and I think she's giving him a lot of grace. All I'm saying is that I do think that sometimes when she's talking to Brett, not the last time I thought at the table she handled it the way that she was supposed to. I think that sometimes she has a tone. And she got like a little bit.
She do have a
tone
of frustration.
Her energy is annoying as well. Like and I'm saying that from a place of.
My energy would be annoying if I was dealing with a 12-year-old all the time too.
I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm saying from my perspective, I do think that like sometimes, girl, you're not netting the energy that you want. Like you gotta meet, like you know what I mean. Sometimes you gotta meet motherfuckers where they are.
She tried,
and it's like, and I don't, and I think
she's tired. She looked tired,
and that's what it is.
She looks tired.
Let's be clear. She's tired, and I think that and when you're tired, you are unable to show up in the manner that somebody else needs you, and you can only show up the way that you're feeling in the moment.
Fatigue is
fatigue.
Fatigue is literally the great equalizer, bro. Fatigue. Let me tell you.
And that's all I'm getting.
That's what it is.
And that's all I'm getting at. I'm not saying that. I do think that there are times, and I think Dr. Viviana noticed this as well, where she could show up a little bit more.
Oh, for
and
sure.
Also,
I'm not saying
and also, let's be for real. Let's keep it 100. You're not sleeping with this man. So he ain't gonna give you as much as he think you going, cause he a motherfucker who used to.
But it's hard but you can't again.
And I'm not saying that she should be sleeping with him, but I'm saying
you can't get bees with acid, bro. Like she's not gonna sleep with you if you're constantly talking down to her and demeaning her and constantly being immature. That's a turn off. Who want to be with somebody who constantly doing that?
You're absolutely right, but I would argue that it's a bunch of people out here who with people and they sleeping with them and they constantly do it.
Yeah, no, but that's not. Am
I lying?
That's not.
Did I tell a lie?
That's not her story, though. That's not her story.
That's not her personal story. But I would argue that he don't get no less poom poom being a dick, and he might be a little bit softer to people. Hear me out. And I'm not saying that she got to sleep with him. I want to make that very clear. I don't think that she does. But I'm saying that I would argue that he treats people who he is intimate with in the manner that he sees intimacy differently.
Wait, say it again?
I would argue that because they are not physically intimate.
I see what you're saying.
I would argue that. No, I'm telling you, because he don't feel close to her either.
He gonna be a dick whether he feel close to her or not.
But he don't feel close to her either, and he made that clear with Dr. Viviana.
He doesn't.
They don't hold hands. They don't touch. They don't do this. They don't do that. So it's hard for me to come this far for you, and I don't get any of this here.
I hear you, but
that's all I'm saying.
And I'm saying that sometimes
you gotta do a little like, you know what I mean?
I hear you, but
and to get what you need.
What you're saying is true. It's just in this situation, they don't jive. You're on the principle, you're correct, but in the context of what's going on in this situation, it's not jiving.
For all y'all thinking that I'm saying that she gotta,
because Brett is gonna be Brett. Let me tell you, Brett killed them. You ever been with somebody who just absolutely just a mood killer, just a vibe killer? Brett is gonna kill the vibe no matter what you giving him. He's killing that vibe. Just their personalities.
But I'm gonna say this though, we don't know that because he ain't getting nothing. So we actually don't know if he gonna kill.
He came into the situation like that. We do know.
No.
When she had a clean slate, he was a dick.
But what I just said was we don't know if that's actually how he'll show up. If he's getting what he wants, because we haven't seen that yet. That's all I'm saying. That's all. And I'm saying, like, think about that.
I think if they wasn't acting right in the beginning of the situation, what's the proof that they gonna act right once you give them something?
I'm not saying no.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely right. You're 50 million% right. I think but I'm saying that that's how ass backwards he is.
Oh, I agree. I agree with that.
That's what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at, that's how ass backwards he is that he would do. I think he would acquiesce a whole lot more. He would show up a whole lot more emotionally for her.
I don't think he's too immature. He's not built.
I'm giving him too much credit.
Yeah, I
might be giving him too much credit.
He's too immature.
I might be giving him too much credit. But I felt like the conversation that they had with Dr. Viviana was right. You do have to show up. You cannot.
Oh, yeah, I did too. She thinks it be true.
And that's all I'm getting at. I'm just trying to say that, like, you could be a part of the process, but if you don't want to be touched, you don't want any intimate moments, you don't want this, you don't want it, are you really?
Yeah.
Have you really? And ain't nobody saying have sex. I think that's a big deal. But I'm saying, like, we're not getting there yet. I'm saying,
but to that,
intimacy is rubbing your husband's knee, touching his leg, doing a little bit of it. She don't do none of that, y'all.
But to that, that's where I compare her to Henry. Whereas the same way Henry can't come to this grandiose place of confidence that she wants him to come to because he's turned off by the person he's with. Olivia is genuinely turned off by the person she's with, and it's hard for her to get to that intimate. It's hard to touch a motherfucker you don't like.
No, let's be clear. That's right. But I'm saying that the difference is that Olivia wasn't that great of a person. Henry is a good person. I would argue that Olivia is just okay of a person. Like, she got certain tendencies that as I'm watching, I'm like, I wish a motherfucker would talk to me like that. As an adult. Like, you know what I mean? And it's been times him and I have had conversations, and I think and he's told me, like, if you speak, that's how you speak to people at work. Don't talk to me like that. And it's like, I didn't know I was talking to you. I thought I was being matter-of-factly and really insistent on my point, but he took that a certain way. And that's what I'm getting at. Like, you can't expect, and I'm sleeping with him. So imagine you talking to somebody and they in your face telling you boom boom about you, and you ain't even what? Girl, you get out my face.
Two things could be true.
Like, girl, get out of here. Like, I ain't worried about you. And I think that's what it's about.
I think two things could be true. Like, she has.
Am I lying?
She has some. No, I'm saying two things could be true. She has some places where she needs to show up.
And that's all I'm saying. Sometimes you gotta.
His is long gone away from where she needs. Like, he got a lot of growth to get to before we can address some of this other stuff.
It's just too much. But at this point, what I'm realizing here, if we talking boys against girls, okay, I think the boys is outdoing the girls this season. I think that we got some real good men on this show.
Yeah, I do too.
I think we only got two. We got 2.5 good girls. Mm-hmm. 2 and 1/2. Okay. Yeah. Like, I think that, like, these guys came prepared. They are ready. They are showing up. And I don't even cape for men like that. And I'm just saying, like, these girls is just like, it's Amani, Amelia, sometimes, and maybe Olivia on a good day. Sometimes Olivia, sometimes Christina when she's taking a man.
Karen and Christina is like, man, throw it away.
Throw them away. I mean, like, literally. Like, Karen is so frustrating and fascinating to me. Like, somebody needs to study her, because
Karen should not be on this show, bro.
At all.
I just feel that way strong.
And I think, and I feel like she has wasted our time.
She wasted Miles' time, Pastor Kyle's time.
And I think that they give her way too much rope. And I'm ending it on her because she irked my soul again. And I feel like, you know what I mean. Even a conversation about sex, and I'm bringing this up again because this really bothered me. We are grown. If you know me, and you talking about sex with your therapist. I talk about sex with our therapist all the time.
That's your husband.
And I will bring it up and be like, yeah, you know what I mean? Because that's just real life. Like, you know what I mean? We're adults. This is like, it's a part of the process or whatever the case may be. And I think that the way that, oh, well, you know, it's people watching. I don't want people, like, girl, what? You got married at first sight, stupid. If we thought you had prospects out there, bitch, you wouldn't have been on Married at First Sight. Let's keep it 100.
I think the truth
Let's keep it 100. Like, stop playing.
The truth is, I told them, I think the truth is, if Miles said he was vegan, Karen would say, well, I got a thing where I don't like people who are vegan. If he said, well, I'm a meat eater, she'd be like, oh, you know what? I think it's meat eaters that I don't like. Like, I just think she genuinely is copping out at every turn. And I think she does not really like Miles. I think she's not really into this. I think she's just going along to get along to
and I'm trying to figure out why. What is it in it for you that you feel like you need to go along and get along? Because the problem is that you can act like this today, but you are shaping the spouse you are going to have tomorrow. So you could do all this fuck shit today. You could put him through all the ringer today and everything like that. But that shapes the person that's going to show up for you in a few months. So my thing is, like, why even do that? Because you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. Yeah. Because now, when all the cameras is going and you really want that nice guy, I want my man to be nice to me all the goddamn time. He got to worship the goddamn ground I walk on. Because what would you be here for?
She told him not to. She said, don't try to be good
like,
to me.
Don't try to be good to me.
She said, whatever you do, don't you ever try to be the best husband that you could be. Don't you dare do it. Because I don't want you to be that man.
And it's like, who hurt you? Like, sis, you need Ayanla. Like, somebody call the June. Call Ayanla up. It's time.
Ayanla would drag. You think she hard? We think we hard on Karen. Ayanla she would drag Karen from the rooter to the tutor.
And it's just like, y'all, like, at this point, it's kind of like, you are creating this monster. And what's very clear to me is that you probably created the monster before. But Jazz said that. Sure. Jazz said that she thinks that she's not with a man unless he demands certain things from her. And let's be clear, your spouse should demand a certain amount of, should have expectations, not demand, but should have expectations for you and of you. That's just real life. Accountability is a thing. Mm-hmm. But I do think that the idea that how he's presenting to himself may not be who he really is, but that's because you poking and prying and pushing him to be this other person. And then when he becomes this motherfucker that you wanted him to be, but based on your actions, you're going to be like, oh, that's who he really is.
Yeah.
Got him. No, you created this monster. You know, you're not looking for it. You're creating it. You're cultivating it. You're feeding it. Like, you cannot create monsters and then be surprised they under the bed.
Yeah, you giving him instruction. Like, don't be the best. Don't be the. I don't want you to strive to be perfect.
I blame her mother and father, and we're gonna pray for them because apparently they don't know love. They ain't loving each other. Something is up because this is deep seated. You didn't get into this relationship with this man, and even if you was with an ugly, I would argue, and y'all bust in and tell me if this is true. Even if you with an ugly mug, and you like, this mug get on my, like, he ain't my type, he ain't this, he ain't that, but he treats you like you a diamond, even you will find a way to be like, it's me. Maybe I gotta, like, I'm gonna have to show up a little bit. Sis, like, this is why men, this is why certain men, not all men, this is some of y'all ain't, you know. This is why certain men dog women out. Because they was with a bitch and they was being good to her and she took every moment for granted. Because a lot of y'all out here, and I got some girlfriends just like this who be like, he got to talk to me a certain way because, you know, I got him. No, he don't. Why he got to talk to you? You a grown woman. No. All he got to do is set an expectation and you got to live up to that.
Yeah.
That's it. And vice versa. Yeah. You know what I mean? But we done came through, and I ain't going on Karen like I wanted to, but that's because I'm, you know. I'm tired of her ass.
I am too. I pray for Miles. I feel like
I'm tired of Miles too, though.
I don't.
I'm tired of keeping for him.
Miles got things to do, but I'm not tired of Miles because I feel like, you know, for the most part, nobody's perfect. He's showing up. He's doing what he needs to do. He got his flaws as far as like not advocating for himself, but I feel bad for him because he's constantly like standing in the middle by himself. No one's there to meet him. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Miles, listen, Miles got to have a better picker too. Miles need to get on that Henry train and start giving a bitch this, and let's see how she act then.
Miles tried, and then when he tried, he was called a predator.
No, I'm saying he need to ignore her ass.
Oh, well, you know, he ain't gonna do that.
He ain't gonna do it. He ain't got it in him.
Yeah,
he ain't got it in him.
That's not his personality.
It's not. And I don't like calling him a people pleaser. I think he wants to.
Is. He would. I think he would. I just think
that it's important to please your spouse. Yeah. A spouse pleaser is a good thing.
No, I don't. We mean it in the cultural sense of it. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's trying to please everybody. Like literally overlooking your own yourself for somebody else.
But
you know
people,
what I'm saying?
That's not as much of a flaw. It's a flaw like courage. Too much courage is a bad thing too. You understand what I'm saying? Too much bravery is a bad thing. I'm saying
caring about, too much of anything is bad.
Right, that's what I'm getting at.
It's still a flaw. I'm saying it's still not good. Like wanting to be everything to everybody and giving so much into that, it's not a good thing. It's just not. And so that's something that he has to work on.
He has to learn a spirit of discernment.
Yeah, he would say that he has to work on that.
He would. I just don't.
His sister said it. His sister said, this is what it is. You know,
and sometimes your strengths are your weaknesses.
Yeah, it's okay.
But I don't want to say it in a way that's not effective for growth. I just want to be like, listen, sometimes your strengths are your weaknesses. And sometimes you got to lean into that. Like, you got to understand where you are and where and discern.
It's just not necessarily that deep of a thing in this situation. Like, Miles is not the issue. Like, Miles, we all got our issues. But that Miles being wanting to, that's not the issue. It's there, but it's not the issue.
And you're absolutely right. And on that note, we is done. Okay, I love y'all. Miss Angela, I'm sorry we didn't do a live this week. Okay, we're going to come through. Shout out to you. We're going to come through, I promise, with a live very soon. But we want to wait till something like real juicy. Sink your teeth in, okay? So, thank you guys for showing up for us. We appreciate you coming through. And I hope to see your beautiful mugs later.
Peace.
Bye.